we're off to the cinema, me and Kitty, and the clue is in the suit. That looks spiffy. And this.
Margaret Atwood.
Who?
Margaret Atwood.
What are we going to see?
Margaret Atwood.
Alright.
Testaments.
What?
The Testaments.
Alright, let's go.
You don't believe the sky is falling until a chunk of it falls on you.
Nothing's happening. Nobody else is dressed up over the news. Kitty's reading the magazine.
That is Margaret Atwood, a Canadian icon. She is 80 years old, apparently. And Handmaid's Tale came out 35 years ago. And this is the sequel. Testaments.
Find out about Aunt Lydia.
Yes.
My life might have been very different. If only I'd looked around me, taken in the wider view. If only I'd packed up early enough, as some did, and left the country.
Meow!
Yeah.
We went to the cinema, didn't we?
We did. We went to see the book release of Margaret Atwood's latest book, the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. It was shot in England, but it was broadcast to live streamed to cinemas all over the world, including the little town we live in. And it was 2 hours of book readings from the book, which were fantastic. An interview with Margaret Atwood, who is 80 and just amazing. And
Canadian.
And Canadian. Lives in Toronto. And then we got the book, and it sounds just fantastic.
I shall read this. And on my other channel, there's actually non-edited, no people on it, just about 12 minutes of video I shot at the cinema. So I'll be intrigued to see whether that escapes the AI or not, but it's actually well worth a listen to. And the 3 readings are actually from the opening of the book, so there isn't really too much spoilers there. But for people who are interested in The Handmaid's Tale... Handmaid. Shush, woman. Staple your lips. Anyway, Aunt Lydia's backstory is in this book, apparently, and everybody who's read it, which is very few people, said it's brilliant and excellent. And one of the things I found interesting was the intersection of climate change and religion and politics.
Wow. Aunt Lydia's words there remind us how you have always drawn a connection between the misogynistic ultranationalism of somewhere like Gilead and environmental catastrophe. And it's a connection that you made in your Mad Adam trilogy as well. Why did you always see that link?
Because it's there.
And misogyny.
Misogyny is included in all 3 of them.
Women and children always get the worst of totalitarian regimes, unfortunately. They always get the short end of the stick.
Always.
It's very interesting. She made great biblical references. She's just a fantastic woman. I feel like I grew up reading her books, and they're all fantastic.
And she's written a lot. And this has examples of the embroidery that only girls can do who are rich, because they go to special schools. And the green and white, I guess somebody at some point is going to do a TV series of this. I mean, there's too much money not to. But these are the Pearl Girls. The Pearl Girls go to Canada and recruit young Canadians and tell them what a wonderful time they'll have being protected in Gilead.
Yes, particularly young breeding age women.
Yes.
Only young breeding age women.
Yes, they don't want the guys or the gays.
Or the older women.
No. So yeah, it's an interesting book. And something I hadn't really thought about was the intersection of climate change and politics, misogyny and all the rest of it. But I guess any social pressures that we have, whatever the cause, if climate gets worse or society gets worse, will be exaggerated.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we're seeing that now.
Definitely.
From something as simple as Donald Trump throwing 2 Starburst candies at the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, and saying, "Don't say I never give you anything," such flippant disregard for people's power and status purely because she happens to wear a dress or trousers as a woman is indicative of society, indicative of his personality, but also indicative of society. Do you think, Kitty, Gilead is possibly something that we will see in our lifetime, or form of it?
Hopefully not.
Well, 34 years ago when the Handmaid's Tale was written and published, I would have said no. And now I would say, yeah, it's possible. I can see America lurching further right wing and further into restrictive patriarchal society. Banning abortion by men seems to be a thing that society is okay with in parts of the States, even though abortion is entirely a woman's issue. We donate sperm, and then our role is to support the woman in whatever she decides to do. But again, men have decided it's okay to legislate women's bodies.
Well, and it's based on climate disaster and infertility could be linked to toxins in the environment that we put out there. So it's definitely a possible world. I think it's a historic world. It has happened before. Maybe not exactly like the book, but it's probably happening now in parts of the world. So whether it'll happen again here is maybe the question you're asking, not whether it'll happen again, because it is probably happening to women in Saudi. They probably feel like they would understand this very much. They're not educated, they don't have freedoms, they dress a certain way, they can't go out without a man. It's very similar to a lot of societies that exist now. What you're really saying is, would it happen here? Would it happen to us? And hopefully not.
Right. I doubt this is on sale in Saudi Arabia. Or maybe I'm wrong. If anybody's in Saudi Arabia, can you buy this? Can you buy this if you're a woman? It's an interesting thing that the more restricted women are, the more certain men are that it's right to restrict them. I mean, that's what always happened. The whole idea of giving women the vote was laughed at. Much more so than the idea of giving poor men a vote. But the idea of giving women a vote was like just ridiculous. And you see it all the time that women have to go that extra mile in politics to be listened to, because everybody wants to talk about their hair or their dress or their kids or how they're looking after their kids or whatever, but they don't take them seriously, and they get portfolios that aren't taken seriously.
They partly don't take them seriously, but they partly are afraid that what they're standing on is not solid, because they are afraid that if women have power, they will be able to use it. They are afraid if they don't keep slaves under their thumb and treat them badly, that they will rise up, and it is wrong. I think part of it is that there's a fear. We are dominant now, and we have to maintain cruel power over to keep it, because the men in power are in precarious position too, because they have to behave a certain way as well. They can't be more humane than that, and it just that kind of repression breeds cruelty.
There's probably a fair minority of people watching this video who actually would like to go back to the 1940s and 50s, not the 40s, because women were very instrumental in economics during the war, but to the 1950s down to 1930s and 20s, where women's place is at the home raising kids, and that's where women's happiest. And women are actually happier doing that if they're uneducated. But the problem is that when you educate women, when you teach them to read, write and think, they tend to be more intelligent than the average male who's had the same experiences, and they also, even worse, live longer. So women are a direct threat, and also women control breeding, which is controlling of the race.
Well, they can control breeding sometimes in some societies. We don't always. We can be impregnated and forced to carry to term. We don't necessarily have control over that, except perhaps in the society that we have been trying to evolve up till now. We've been trying to evolve a society where there is some control over that, where women do have some control over that.
Kitty has claws. I don't think she would submit to that gladly.
Kitty is too old to be produced.
Never say never. A 70-year-old woman in Russia gave birth to twins thanks to the miracle of IVF.
Pity the poor 70-year-old woman.
Pity the 18-year-old kid with a 89-year-old parent. But nobody really cares about that, right?
Well, she might have been having a kid for her daughter or something. You never know.
Well, we don't know. Anyway, we've thoroughly enjoyed going to the cinema. It was a big shame that so few people went.
Here, I imagine
Here.
in bigger centres, there's more
Um,
literary people about.
It was a big shame that I was the only one who got dressed up. And nobody noticed anyway, but that's cool. So come along and watch what we did. And if you want to watch the actual clips from the readings of the Testament and also some brilliant speeches from Margaret Atwood, you will be able to do so on my climate change channel, because the intersection of feminism and climate change is something that I hadn't thought about, but there again, I am a man.
True enough, and I have to go to work.
Just go to work. Doodles!
Bye!
When the environment is disturbed, what you're going to get is crop failures, or you're going to get less food, and sometimes less water, sometimes too much water, but you're going to get more chaos. And when you get more chaos and a less agreeable distribution of material goods, you're going to get social unrest, and that may morph into war, and social unrest and wars have always been bad for women, and may I add children.